Bizzle. Shout out Pepsi, by the way. Pepsi is actually our biggest partner of Potential. Pepsi started with us in 2018, and we've only grown bigger with them. And the thing with Pepsi as well is, it's just like when we start and we say we want to go somewhere, Pepsi just goes. Like, do you understand what I mean? It's a lot of trust. But to answer the question directly, I feel like the biggest problem with touring is information and security. And I'm speaking about this as someone who has been shot at in Bauchi. I don't think I'll ever go there. Of three of us, me, Asa, and Bizzle, me and Asa are more operational. Bizzle is more of a dreamer, right? So Bizzle will say, oh, there are some guys in Adama, and I'm like, Adama, wow, and these guys will try. In fact, there are some guys in Adama who have created their own BlockParty page because they kind of have a relationship with Bizzle, and I've told Bizzle this is not going to happen. Do you understand what I mean? Because we work with a lot of young people at the office who kind of like just love what we do and just follow us. Do you understand what I mean? And, parents leave their kids to work with you through the night. I'm a Yoruba boy. You understand? No more Yoruba than me. So, like, even till now, like, my driver is like a police guy that works with my mom. Just because my mom was kind of like, you know what? You have chosen nightlife, even though you have, like, degrees in engineering or whatnot. So it's not a thing where touring is a problem. I feel like at the end of the day, I'm a dreamer, but I'm also a realist. Do you understand what I mean? And I feel like all it takes is one bullet. And yeah, it's not nice to watch it on the news, but it's better to, you don't want to be the one on the other side. So I feel like that for me is the biggest problem of touring, pretty much. I don't know if this answers the questions correctly.
Oh yeah, you did. Robustly. Thank you very much, Toby. My next question is going to go to Asa, right? Aside from the fact that you are a partner in a company that is very prominent in entertainment, I know that you're also an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I read an interview that you did about 2 or 3 years ago where you were talking about how it was easy to take Nigerian entertainment out there because there were structures that existed there. You were talking about how, I believe you were talking about some of the safety you felt while you were going on the road and some other parts. What is the role of the government in making sure that life is key to where we are as a people right now?
Okay, let me use an example first. Like, for example, this whole thing about the government supporting entertainment in general. Like, we've built this whole entertainment thing with literally no government support. With literally no government support.
Mike, we need another mic, please.
I don't think myself or Bizzle or Toby has gotten any government checks or anything. We've been in loads of meetings and said, guys, this is what we need, this is what we want to do. From back in the day when we used to do like all the storm tours and go to all these schools and stuff, I know the challenges they had then, they still exist now. We're trying to build a tour circuit currently in colleges in Nigeria for some of our clients, who that is like their main demographic. And I know the challenges we have. It's like, how many schools? 12 to 14 schools we're planning to do at the moment. And as of now, I think we can only say like we're 100% in 4 to 5 of these schools. And the sad thing about it for the government is like, look at Ghana, for example. I used to go to Ghana every year for New Year's, as far back as like 7, 8 years ago. And Ghana was like my getaway after like the Christmas madness. And one day my cousin, who's the founder of Afro Nation, goes, why don't we just move Afro Nation to Ghana as the Africa spot, because Nigeria is so long. And this is in Nigeria. And I'm like, and I jumped at it too because I was like, you know what? I know the guys I'm going to call, blah, blah, blah. And in 6 to 8 months, 4 or 5 visits to Ghana between everyone, sorted. And the reason why Ghana is so, for example, I was in Ghana again this Christmas. And I was saying to one of my friends, I was like, dude, if I was not involved in business, I wouldn't be here. I'm like, bro, this is madness. There are people, friends I haven't seen in years, who I randomly run into in Ghana, and they're like, oh yeah, Ghana's the thing now. Like, if you walked up to a random successful artist anywhere in the world, be like, yo, I do an event in Ghana, they're more interested in going to Ghana than anything else. Bro, Lauryn Hill pops out for nothing. Lauryn Hill has been to Ghana like 2-3 times. And that's just because of the support the government has given tourism. The first time we did Afro Nation, Ghana waived the fees on all the visas for us. I don't think if I even get that promise in Nigeria, I know when we land, there'll still be wahala. I know how many times, okay, look, for example, this is not me wearing the Davido manager cap. We brought people to Nigeria. For example, when we did the Fader cover that year, we flew them in. By that point in time, Nigerians weren't doing foreign press. No elements of support from the government. We shot videos with international superstars here. And in a normal scenario, like, the government would reach out to us and be like, yo, this thing you guys are doing, let's get involved. But it's just sad because, for example, this whole tourism and this whole government support thing, the tour circuit thing shouldn't be an excuse. Like, it's easier to do a tour with private schools than public schools. Anywhere else in the world, it's the other way around. It's a mess.
It really is. Thank you very much for the examples and for the nuances you provided to that. Can you guys hear me, please? All right, thank you very much.
And also, like, I was going to speak in line with what Asa said. For me, even though the topic here today is live, I'm a very, very deep patriot like Nigeria. Do you get what I mean? Like, I carry Nigeria on my back. You understand? Like, I left a well-paying job in England to move back to Nigeria. Because, I just follow my dreams. The moment I feel like it, I go for it. And I feel like, I think the biggest cultural shock when I came back to Nigeria was, do we even have like a ministry for tourism? And what are they doing? Right? That's one. Two is, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel like it's supposed to be a cordial conversation, and I hope this actually gets to the people who are supposed to see it.
Please pull out your phones and record this.
Yeah, I hope it does, because it's like, we're a company, we're self-funded. I don't know what would have happened in my life if I didn't have maybe like Shegun and Abigail, or maybe like some of the good guys in Jameson, or some of the guys in Johnny Walker. We don't have any investment. We've run a multi-million-dollar company by ourselves from our pockets. Me, Asa, and Bizo all have separate hustles. I have a full life in tech, pretty much. I've brought all the money I've made in tech in England to Nigeria. And we've done, in December, we had 22,000 people. Just down the road here, we had Black Sheriff, right? It's pretty much the biggest event. And the year before, without announcing any talent, BlockParty is a festival for the guys, right? Without announcing any talent, right? We had about 17K people. It's literally flew in for Callistic that morning or the night before, when we were like, at least Island BlockParty is our major play for the year. We need to have something. And, it's so tough, bro. It's actually very emotional for me, because I know like how we empty our account. Like, maybe me and Issa are just recovering now. That Pepsi is sending money. Do you get what I mean? Like, we usually have to empty our accounts. I can remember the first time. And you think about it, is that Issa is the biggest dreamer in the world. So Issa is like, in September, Issa travels a lot. I travel a lot, but Issa is like the #1 traveler, right? So Issa will just call in September and say, "Oh, Toby Alpha, what are we doing this December?" And it's a good thing about us is we're also best friends. I don't have a lot of friends. Like, my work guys are my friends. And it's like, what are we doing? So this year, I think it was 19, we had Major Lazer. This is Major Lazer, like, do you get what I mean? Same fucking Major Lazer. And
watch your English, my boy.
sorry. And it says like, oh yeah, let's do Major Lazer. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I think and we were doing all of these things scared though. I was never an event planner, nothing. But when you do something that goes from 150 people to like 75, you're like, how far can we go? How far can we go? And we just pushed the limit. And we didn't have the money for it. We really didn't. And I can remember that Friday, I'm a Muslim, a practicing one as well. So I was going to pray Jumat. We're setting up, the event was on Saturday, and money had finished. I think we had to pay about 1.4 million for visas for the guys. I dropped money, like, so I was going to the mosque. I was thinking, how do I get money? So I'm just like, I was on the bike, traffic now in Lekki. I was going to play, that's Lekki Central Mosque. And I thought to myself that, I'm not going to call Shegun. Shegun's Abigail's boss, and I'm like, see, Egmont, Shetiri. Like, I know you've given us this money, and like, this is Major Lazer. We have the opportunity to do the biggest shit like we've ever done. And if we do not sort these visas, this event is not going to happen. And, I was on the bike to the mosque, and he's like, you know what? I'll give you an extra 1 million. And I think I dropped a tear that day. But, think about what we could have done. In Accra, they have a full-on campaign called Beyond the Return. Yeah. Right? And think about it, we're Nigerians. We've taken even the BlockParty to Accra. We've even done it more than the times that they've done Afro Nation and we're a baby event. We don't have the kind of money these guys have at Live Nation and all of that, right? And imagine in Accra, we're struggling to even get on Beyond the Returns calendar, right? Because of course I expect a Ghanaian to actually take care of a Ghanaian, but who's taking care of the Nigerians? Who is? For me, if we made BlockParty a thing today and say, you know what, hey governor, you know, we're going to do an APC song on stage, I'm sure we'll get a lot of racks. Or if, you know, so I look up Sasha a lot, like, you know, and if Sasha was to tell them, like, oh, our flight time, you know, we'll have an APC flag flying somewhere there, or a PDP flag, yeah, the money is going to come. Last part is music. We have Audiomack in Nigeria. We have Boomplay. Even if they are not local platforms are owned, right? The MO of these platforms have been like, we're making this for the people, right? We cannot even use the masses for this product. So anybody who is a manager will see that when you're looking at your backlog, you are getting your check from Russia or like America and stuff. They're not even letting us use the masses power that we have here to actually make that money. Why haven't we thought that we have a minister of communication, you know, that is somewhat whatever, I mean, whatever, I don't want to talk too much, but 5 naira on MTN for everybody to be able to reach this thing will make, this is CKay's manager, he's done a lot of amazing stuff. Shout out Ogagos here, he's done amazing stuff with CKay, all right? Imagine CKay's songs have gone far. Imagine the guy in the north, you know, I saw a TikTok of, and I called him that day, I saw a TikTok from the north about Over the Moon, and I said, you better burn the fire of this song.
I was there when you called him.
I was like, you better burn the fire of this song. And guess what, right? The northerners have little or no access to education, but they do TikTok. Why don't we empower these things, you know? So for me, I feel like Nigeria has fucked us.
Can I add one thing to that?
Please.
So, for example, look at what Toby was saying about when we brought Major Lazer and Co to Nigeria. So, I have a very, very good relationship with Diplo. And if you notice, Diplo's been to Nigeria like 3-4 times now. This is someone, and he's one person I know who has, from a place of interest and a place of actually wanting to contribute to our culture, and he does it everywhere he goes, tries to tap into local culture and stuff. He's been, Trace brought them once, they've been here for Giddy Culture Festival, he came once randomly, so 4 times. I didn't pay Wes 1/4 of his booking fee. This guy just wanted to come to Nigeria and tap into our culture and see the potential here. Obviously, he's reaped the benefits of that in many different ways, but it's like, if someone who lives in Malibu in California has been that successful, he doesn't need Nigeria for anything. Yeah. We'll come here and tap in with local artists who are not even big artists. Like, bro, some of the most random things I've done in my life have been with Diplo. And I'm like, this guy, bro, remember the day, like when they landed in Lagos? Mm-hmm. Then, bro, I've been blessed to fly on a few jets. The jet they came on, I was like, dude, the money we pay these guys is not even buying the gas on these jets. Yep. That's the honest truth. Yep. And I'm like, dude, this guy still came A1 production, everything, and I'm like, guy, what's what? I'm sitting down here and talking to brands and governments to give us 20K, and that's an issue. If we didn't have obviously like people like Jameson, Pepsi, like we have, look at the plug for us. I would say we have 10 brands. Yeah, about that, 10 brands that actually believe in us, and that's why we've been able to run this company and do what we want to do and decide what we want to do and do it the way we want to do. Bro, if we had left this thing to just, let's go and apply for a loan, I go and talk to the Ministry of Tourism, I have other hustles, I'll be focusing on them, for sure, because passion, one day, Sakpa will hit you. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just chip in? Just one last thing. And these two guys, they have been phenomenal. Beyond music export is how we are able to set the platforms for the development of artistry, and that's what mainland BlockParty, the BlockParties have set. So we are celebrating a lot of exports. We are proud of the exports. But where does it begin? It's setting the platform for these young ones to at least find their voices, feel what it is like to perform, and bask in the euphoria of being a musician.
Secret garden, Ikeja.
So, before we go into the commercialized part of it, it's us growing our home talents, and even that platform is not being supported by the government. If music is an export, if music is a means of increasing our GDP, for instance, why is the grassroots not being paid attention to. Why are you leaving it to the brands who may or may not even know exactly what some brands just want to be out? Just put our logo there, right? It's for commercial purposes. How about you grow the smaller platforms? Let them be able to grow the smaller talents and let them continue to be exports. Even that conversation is still not being had. So I think before we even start thinking of touring, let's think about the people that have the talent and do not have the platform to explore.
Please give them a round of applause. A lot of insights. I was at a show that Toby was talking about in 2021. The show was so packed that he and Bizu, I mean, he always stands at the tickets, but Bizu was there, like dishing out tickets. It was that bad. I remember very clearly.
He was.
I remember very clearly. It was. Yeah,
one day and
it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Like the amount of people that were trooping into that place.
I didn't get into that event, too.
Bro, he couldn't get in. He left.
Yeah, I ran out.
Bro, do you know I had to open the gate twice because I had to pick in between finance and health and safety. We do that a lot at BlockParty. Pretty much. It's just like, you know what? Just let them in. Like, ticket or no ticket, let them go. I beg. Yeah.
So one thing that I would like us to talk about here is the role of the government. And one thing that we lack in Nigeria is a lobbying structure. Right? We need to talk about lobbying more as a country because the distance between the government and the needs of the people is actually very wide. Lobbying, I believe lobbying is a $20+ billion industry in America. And Sasha is a lawyer, right? How do you think we can go about creating a lobbying structure? Because we can't go by ourselves and meeting these people. We have to create vehicles and avenues to do that.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think we can do much more than we've already done. Anybody that is paying attention should be asking to meet us right now. I've been fortunate to be in a lot of meetings where they will say, let's talk to some people who are the gatekeepers in the entertainment industry, let's have conversations. And we say lengthy things, we give lengthy proposals, we tell them what we need and how they can come in. The truth of the matter, I don't want to get political here because that's not why we're here, but I say one thing all the time, and I say that every human being operates on self-interest. And until you have a common interest, there will be no progress. So I think what we're missing really in the entertainment industry is that the people that don't understand it and who are more political, they have not figured out how to drain us. Yeah. And so they're not coming to the table because these people have self-funded, as you can see. A lot of people that are successful in the entertainment industry are self-driven. They're self-starters. And so when I've done all of this by myself against all odds, and then I ask for your, support, because I don't now need you to carry me. I've done it now. I need collaboration. I need investment to move on to the next plane. And everything you are offering is how to take more from me. There's no conversation to be had. And so that's what we're dealing with now. So perhaps the government needs to start employing entertainment entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs into those ministries. Why don't we have an entertainment ministry in Nigeria that is staffed by people who have helped grow the industry and are passionate about taking it further? Because those are the only people who really understand how we got here. And that's how we collaborate.
Thank you very much, Sasha. You mentioned something about the interests don't align yet. I saw Issa nodding. How do we make the interests align? Because let's not kid ourselves, right? Even in places where lobbying is thriving, it's about making the interests align. You have to go meet this lawmaker to say, look, I have this for you. If you do this for me, I can get that done for you. How do we make the interests align?
I think the first thing is getting the right people in the right position. So obviously that's not a conversation for here, but at the end of the day, if I'm talking to somebody let's use for example the Minister of Tourism or the head of, I don't know all these are their titles. Okay, let me give you an example. Minister of Tourism. I say to you, I do a party, I go to an event called, for example, let's use BlockParty. Every month I have 7,000, 8,000 people. At least 2,000 to 3,000 people that come to BlockParty drive from school. And I say to you, listen, we have this amount of people coming in here. You guys own hotels. There's so many partnerships we can do with all these people. And I go back to the whole Afro Nation Ghana thing, for example. The first year when nobody knew what the outcome of everything was going to be, bro, we had partnerships with everybody, restaurants, hotels, and all this stuff was being orchestrated for us by the government. I'm not from Ghana. Obviously I know people in Ghana, we hire people in Ghana, but at the same time, it's the kind of thing where they saw the benefits of because it's a long-term relationship. Like, the government are not going to gain off of me doing one huge event. I do an annual event. Okay, for example, we do all the block parties we do. The biggest ones obviously are in December. I'm saying to you that I know people are going to get on planes to Nigeria just for this event. They're going to pay visa on arrivals, or they're going to pay for a visa before they leave wherever they go. They're going to come to Nigeria, stay in hotels. But they're going to spend money in our country. Luckily for us, as bad as our country is, after Accra, Lagos is still the next place to go to. We've developed this system where it's like, you come to Lagos to like the 26th, 27th, then you go to Ghana. And we don't even leverage off of these things. From little things like just frustrating the process of doing a visa on arrival. I know how many times, okay, perfect example of this thing is, David always has a friend in Nigeria who needs a visa on arrival. Because David is the #1 advocate of come and see Nigeria for yourself. David is calling me every day saying, oh, this guy I went to high school with is coming to Nigeria, visa on arrival for him. As much as I do these things, the process is so long. I literally remember we were in Morocco sometime last year, and we had a friend with us from the States who was in Nigeria with us. He didn't need a visa to go to Morocco, or a visa on arrival, I'm not sure. But then we were going to go to Ghana. It was the same weekend as Global Citizen. I sent one text message to the guy who helps us with visas for Afro Nation and all these things. One message, and I was like, I'm sorry I'm messaging you late, but we're about to get on the plane and land in Ghana. Before we landed in Ghana, visa sorted. So it's just like, if we can't get the little things right, how are we going to get the big things right? Yeah. It's just we need, like she said earlier on, grassroots up. There's no point trying to do something that's high level when we can't even get the foundation right. There's no point.
Thank you very much for that, Issa. But let's go into some of the things in terms of positives, right, for live events in the country. Because it's all about talking about it as a tool,
of course,
right, for some of the things that the entrepreneurs have done. Giving the music like a different dimension, giving the fans a different way to experience the music. To Toby right now, how do you think we can improve the experience further?
So that's very broad. When you say improve
from the perspective of the performance, the event itself can always be better.
Yeah.
In terms of not just with funding and everything, the show themselves can always be better, right? One of the things that I go to mainland BlockParty to see is before the artist comes on stage at all, everybody is amped up. It is crazy, right? The hype man, Tolu Daniel and Melody, they are there for 3 hours just going off. Right? What are the other things that we could do to enhance the experience for the people that come to the show?
Okay, so for me, right, and I would say this similarly for, of course, Flight Time as well. So I'm not going to speak to like because Flight Time now is like a number of days, I'll speak to the Rhythm Unplugged one, which I would consider like a hub for loads of
flagship,
right, with the flagship one. And I'll say that those two events have a lot of things in common. Putting together an event is not it's not beans. It's not. I think people I work with think I'm a superhero. I don't know how I do it, but I mean, to be honest, it's tough. But like what I feel like I like to do, and I'll say this for Issa as well, is we work from the front to the back. Do you understand what I mean? A lot of times, and this is for anybody who's trying to start anything, it doesn't have to make sense in the beginning. We found purpose in the middle of this. Because when you find purpose, it starts to burn itself. And that's why we don't say, oh, you guys don't burn out. I'm like, no, because it's like a situation where you can't burn out. Because it's already like, it's a thing where it already has purpose. Do you understand what I mean? And for us, now speaking to the topic why we're here, is how it has elevated the entertainment industry in Nigeria. We have gone from being just an event or a festival or a party to being an artist-blowing platform.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Every new artist, I'm saying after Davido, Wiz, and then Burna, and Mayor, maybe even a bit of Mayor. Let's say the ending blowing part of Mayor, right? It was BlockParty. We have on video Black Bones admitting like this was the platform that made me. Oxlade, everybody, Fireboy,
Oxlade, Victoni,
Omale, everybody. Victoni is even a BlockParty artist. So if you were to Google Victoni right now, his first project was with BlockParty, right? So for us, it has become a thing where it's more than an event now. It's kind of like a platform for like everybody. Like part of the plans we have this year, like we have loads of talents. Like we did something with Omale last year. I think we have about 5 to 6 talents who want to do the same thing with us, where they have like their own headline BlockParty, because they've also come to understand that we have a very responsive crowd. I say it all the time. I've worked in different sectors, and I know like when we do our mailing list, it's the most I've seen responsive on MailChimp ever in my life. Do you get what I mean? You're getting like 72% opens. Like that's, if you work in marketing, you know that that's a ridiculous number. It's unreal. Do you understand what I mean? You know, and this is like what it has become. So for us, one thing that we never ever consider is we never ever consider the money we're putting in. It's never about the profit. I can tell you for a fact that the first time we probably made significant profit was maybe like last year, October. And guess what we did? We carried the money to go and do another BlockParty in Accra.
Yeah.
Immediately. So for us, we just make sure that we're quality people, and we ensure that we always outdo ourselves. We have a lot of entertainment touch points, and because this is what attracts the people. Another thing is people overprice things in Nigeria. You cannot be insensitive to the sufferings of your people. You are one of them. I say it to everybody. Like at the office yesterday, I was talking to someone. She was like, "Oh, someone wants to break the bank. They might just have 2K there." I said, "Bro, because 2K might feed him and his family for 3 days. Yeah. Because you go to foodies to buy food for 2K, you're cool." Like, you know, I say all the time. A lot of people here are part of the 15%. It's 200 million people in the country, but 200 million people, don't they have like a right to have fun? They do. So if you're a business owner, it's on you to look for a way to give them value at a very cheap cost. The most we've ever sold tickets in our lives has maybe $10 to $16. Even when we had Black Sheriff Major Lazer, we sold tickets at 4K to 4.5. And this is not me conditioning other people who are like entertainment entrepreneurs to do the same, but this is our model, and we're going to stick by it. So for us, keeping those things together, we just don't go outside of it, pretty much. Yeah.
Thank you for touching on the pricing there. Right. Last year it was a bit of a conversation. No, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
When I saw Sasha on the panel, I was like, okay.
I'll come in there. I reached out to a bunch of people that I can't mention here when I wanted to address that, right? And I got a lot of nuance from a lot of people in terms of like pricing, the amounts that artists charge, in terms of the type of artists and profile of artists, the plans or the contingencies you have to make when you're creating some of these shows. And that informs the way that people increase the pricing. Or why certain shows require, why the ticketing for some shows exactly, why the shows are priced differently. Do you think that is sustainable in Nigeria, Sasha?
The simple answer is no. But the broader answer is it's going to require all of us. You know, even like him considering the fact that not everybody has 2K and somebody's going to maybe live on 2K for 3 days. It's the same thing. I mean, we understand that artists are getting more attention. They're getting more notoriety, so to speak. In fact, last year I made a point saying that now we're competing with people that we helped develop. We're competing with different African countries. We're competing with the international market. These people are spending dollars. Look at the value of the Naira. So it involves everything, every facet. It involves government. It involves even the Nigerians deciding that we're going to decide that if you don't play with Nigeria, it's like what they do in America when they say black-owned businesses. Nigerians have to decide that Nigerian first. You know, because if I'm coming to book you and you know that Naira has devalued and then you charge me, let's say $1 million, the person that is going to suffer is the person coming to watch the show, because I still want to give you a great time, and then it becomes a premium event, because guess what, the artist fee is only 5% of my actual cost. There's so many other costs. We're feeding people. You know, live entertainment is so broad that apart from finance, we're building communities, we're employing people. And some people, that's like the biggest thing they're going to work on for the entire year. So that money is what they're going to sustain themselves on for the first couple of months in the next year. So everything trickles down. And so we're grateful for events like Mainland BlockParty, because even I can attend. You know, I might not be able to afford a table at the event that I'm producing, because that's what it is. So there's a balance for everything, but then it involves all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Asa, I believe you want to say something.
She pretty much said everything, but she already said everything I was going to say.
So let me remind you what you wanted to say. Our fellow Nigeria guys, we want to go and do good BlockParty, but they are charging us in dollars.
No, it's the same thing about it here with events. Because I play both sides of artist management and doing events, it's one of those things where sometimes, Okay, for example, remember that phone call we were having when we were leaving Ghana with that artist? For example, that artist and artist manager are stupid because...
Very stupid.
Yeah, because, for example...
Okay.
Yeah, no, but see, the thing about it is, for us to get to the next level, we have to have these conversations. So I look at what we've built over the years as our own little ecosystem. In the sense where, like, okay, we have the plug here, we have events like BlockParty. One agency, we do bookings for Pepsi, Martell, distribution, we probably distributed at least a song for every relevant person in the last 4 to 5 years. I own a nightclub with some of my other friends called Hotbox. And between these things, yeah, I'm like, dude, you cannot escape us one way or the other. You come to me when you want to blow up and be like, oh, you want to get on, maybe you want to perform at Hotbox, or you want the DJs to be playing your music, or you want to perform at BlockParty. And then 3 months down the line, you want to act brand new on me. I'm like, dude, I'm not an artist. I've been working in this music industry, I'm 33 this year, for 17 years now. I'm like, dude, you are going to come back and meet us. This artist or not, maybe this artist 5 to 10 years, that's the end of his career, I'm still going to be here. So it's the kind of thing where I'm like, dude, you come here, this guy does this thing, he's popping for, like, I'm not trying to knock anyone's house, bro, I did tear bill for my artist, die. But there's certain people, Toby knows, there's certain people I'll be like, nah, we can't charge this person. Because at the end of the day, we know we're building a network that we're all meant to gain for. Like, it's another example of this thing is, we have this whole international demand thing now. I go into a meeting in a certain room, having a conversation, and then the person says to me, oh, 2 weeks ago, so artist was, I know how many times I've been in meetings, whether it's with Bizzle or it's in a meeting with one of my clients, and they say, a certain artist or an artist manager, I'm just like, oh God, they've come and lie or say something stupid that isn't what it is. And then we now come and be like, obviously, for example, I remember there's a time where, you know, we have the artists in Nigeria here, where it's like, you're bigger in Nigeria than you are outside Nigeria or vice versa. So an example is, let's say, for example, we have a partnership with Spotify, for example, for BlockParty. Let's say this person has had a meeting with somebody in the Spotify office in LA. And at that point in time, you know how Afrobeats is, yeah? Let's say a song that came out in Nigeria in 2020 is just popping in LA in 2022. So we're having a meeting, and the person goes, oh, we really want you to book Mr. XX. And we're like, why? She's like, oh, he has such a huge song. And I'm like, nah, that's not what it is. But obviously, they're sitting down and looking at the streams. And I'm like, yo, go and check the mapping on the streams. No one in Kenya or Nigeria or Ghana is listening to that music anymore. And these things become detrimental to you also, because as much as it's important to be popping and look a certain way, if home is not messing with you, you have an issue. Like, no, if you look at it, one thing I say, for example, all the time is like, and I'll use David as an example, as big as David is always like, Baba, I'm not on this P of doing one show a year in Nigeria. These are the people that made me a superstar. I have to do. And
please clap. Yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah. I've been telling you the big deals when they say them, because it will sound very simple, but it's a big deal.
Like, for example, the artists were booking for BlockParty in Ghana, the next one. He's huge in Nigeria right now. He's never performed in Ghana. He could probably sit back and say, you know what, I'm not going to Ghana till I get paid 100K. BlockParty is never going to pay me 100K, for sure. I'm not going to pay anyone 100K. And this is not even me like trying to cap our business.
Oh, facts.
But it's the way we've created that event.
The model.
Yeah, the model for that event in particular, we will never be paying anybody 100K budgets. So it's like, the artist came with his label, we sat down, we had a conversation, explained, and there was that mutual understanding, and like, boom. There are other people signed to that label that are bigger than him, and we have relationships with them and do things with them. And I'm like, dude, the minute this guy doesn't have a hot song, many guys will free him, but me, I'll still stand for him because of the relationship we have. That's what happens with a lot of artists. Like, on the way up, you burn all the bridges. You don't think about, because bro, it is impossible to have a big song every year. There is nobody. Bro, Drake has off years. Future has off years. Taylor Swift has off years. So it's the kind of thing where if you want to be in your little bubble and deceive yourself, you still come back.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to ask a final question. I'm going to ask Abigail a final question before I throw it to the audience. Right? Very quickly, Abigail, do you think it's possible for us to create like an association or like a body that determines the amount of the bar or create like a cadre of artists and determine the amount of money they can charge depending on the type of event?
Well, 100%. But
is it reasonable though?
it is reasonable. I don't even think there needs to be a body. Every platform, every experience has its target audience. We keep using BlockParty as the staple example because, first of all, the D to E class they amount for about 70% of the total population. So if you consider their spending power, then you already know that if you build a platform that's like a rave for every one of these persons to have an opportunity, because music is a core passion point for Nigerians, right? So if you have a platform that gives all of those people access, good experience, easy access, financially, and every other thing, you would actually break even, right? Keep the A-class events for the A-class people, because they can totally afford it. But you will not send them to a place. Exactly. You will not send the A-class people to the A-class people to an event where you want them to follow you and act like they're in mainland BlockParty. I think there's the priorities are a bit. I think that show promoters, and I think before you close, I'm looking forward to that because they play a very huge role in in that ecosystem. So there's the consumers, there's the brands, there's the events center owners, there are the promoters, and then there's the production. There's everyone that has something to do in there. There's a whole lot. If there's people are sitting down and planning intentionally, who are the people who these experiences are for, and that's why we're going to bring the artists that's going to charge this amount, because by the time we cut the artist fee and these guys are paying 10 million naira for a table, okay, somehow we'll get the experience. But you cannot want to get a mainland block experience in that kind of event. And then everybody's complaining on Twitter at the end of the event. It is clear, intentional, sit down, plan. Who are the people we're speaking to? What can they afford? How many of these events can we do over a period of time? These A-class people, they don't have time for all of these multiple events. Do one, two for them. Make a high class. In the days of corporate elite, I think when Polo was doing corporate elite, that's when corporate elite just had that strategy. Yeah. The only time they broke it, they did the 2 days. They did 1 day for the mainland BlockParty crowd. Do your own and go. Day 2 was for the people that would afford it. And I think that all of that intentionality has gone to the wind. Everybody just, December, Lagos in December is going to be hot. In August, let's start planning. And everybody's, it's all about the figures. Nobody's considered. And when you are intentional, you see beyond what you need to see. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give them a round of applause. We have a lot of
before we go, just because I know we're running out of time, I just want to say something. And I like to say something to everybody because I feel like everybody has a part to play. Yep. Someone here might be Rema's cousin. Someone here might be, Omale's brother.
Someone here is Ira's team.
Or Ira's fan that might just tweet at Ira and she sees stuff.
I've been looking for you.
Anyway, I feel like everybody needs to understand that Afrobeats has put food on everybody's table.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Either it's events, management, touring, marketing, getting them to go and meet the brands and you're collecting your 5%, whatever it is. We always forget that there's a duty for all of us to preserve it. We need to preserve it. This year we're working with a collaboration, for example, right, at the plug. And the reason why we're there is so that we can preserve the culture, make it bigger. Because people tend to forget. The guys who used to love our collaboration 5 years ago have grown older. They don't even know the essence of it.
You almost said that, Frichella.
Yeah, I was saying, they don't know the essence of it anymore. So everybody has a duty. The talent needs to know that I need to also uplift all the live events and not be charging them $1 billion because these people are the guys that bring the confluence of amazing people that will love your music and tweet about it to their cousins in America that will stream it. Yeah. That's all. Once again.
It takes all of us.
We have a lot of ground to cover. We could have gone at this for like 3 hours, but we can't.
Absolutely.
Right? Guys, if anybody in the audience has a question, I believe this is the right time. Sorry, can you please help me give her a mic? I'm the lady in the front. Thank you. Please state your name, what you do, and then ask your question. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Adenike Adegbite, aka the Trillion Box Chick. And
AKA what?
The Trillion Box Chick.
Okay.
And I have a music platform. I don't want to say streaming platform. And I hear like everyone has said, Sasha mentioning, you mentioning about, I know she did talk about like growing talent. You also talk about collaboration and all of that. I don't really want to go into like what we do so that I don't take time. So I see what you do, and somehow like I can relate with it. And she did mention it when she was closing, to say that there are some certain demography that are really the major consumers, and a lot of people are not paying attention. And that is what we've even considered, you know, in even our platform. So, see, I'm not raised, so let me tell you that. But how do we collaborate? You know, so you mentioned that, okay, you mentioned Boomplay, you mentioned like some other brands, you mentioned the complexities, you know, because everybody is about the money, looking at the money, not really looking at the fact that there are so many talent that we need to grow, there are more people than you are seeing, but we need to create a platform, and that's why I like what you're doing. In what way, on what ground do you see us collaborating? Because I know that a lot of the conversation that you have is also like, let's collaborate. Okay, we can't do the government, but we can do within ourselves. You know, we can build this table, we can do this and all of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, but who are you directing it to?
Toby.
Yes, I do want to go. Okay. So for me, I feel like, you know, I say to everybody, relationship management is the best thing. Relationship management.
Toby is he's the president of relationship management. If you ever need tips, please.
Toby keeps me in check.
Oh my God, Toby will choke you with relationship management, and I love it for him.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Relationship management is amazing, right? So shout out these boys. This is Diego and this is Mide Mikano, right? One thing that we've come to actually create is a hub for us to inspire people. I feel like I started realizing that we had purpose when you see that people actually create new IPs out of what they've seen you do. Yeah. In Accra, a guy, they have this thing called Atmosphere. It's kind of owned by our partners there as well, but the young guys who founded it as well. And these guys come together and they're like, man, guy, I've been watching you for 4 years. And you just check your social media and the guy has been following you and you're like, oh my days, okay, cool, what's up? And he's like, look at this event I'm doing. And the entire platform was built around us looking at your model, right? For Mide, I've been trying to help him raise so much. But you see, one thing he does is Mide always puts himself first. So Mide sees me, because I'm busy, I go to Ibadan, maybe I'm in and I'm out. And it's like, bro, you were in Ibadan yesterday, you paid me, you didn't tell me. Hey, and me, I'm busy, I'm like, fuck Mide. So the next time I'm going to Ibadan, I'm like, Mide, I'm almost here, right? And he has an event called Brown Roof Party, very great party, by the way, very amazing party. So I already I know that I must help in one way or the other, and I'm already looking for ways to help. So he sends me his decks. He's like, bro, look at this deck for me, does it look good? So I think that a lot of people need to understand that we're a very, very traditional community of West Africans, and respect is a very, very serious part. So a lot of people that have worked with us send us DMs. Just send me a DM and say, I want to be working with you, pretty much, and that's it.
Just DM people will answer you.
I say all the time, like BlockParty, when I first moved back and I was talking, I just sent Bizo a DM, and now we're the best of friends. If anybody of us is getting married and we're not on each other's groom train, just when we fought. You know, so I feel like, you know, bold and relationship, pretty much. And sense of entitlement kills a lot of shit.
Yeah, for sure.
It does, pretty much. Because the guy that you're asking has 1 million problems that even you don't know about. Yeah.
And to add to that, I feel like I'm a living testimony of like closed mouths don't get fed. Like you have to be bringing value to the table. Like, for example, okay, let's say for example now after this we say, you know what, let's sit down and have a conversation. What can we do together? Which is what we do with most of our partners. I feel like everybody who we work with, one way or the other, started from a conversation, and we're like, okay, this guy, even from the way like people who work with us from like actual full-time staff. So even the artists we work with, it's always like, okay, let's have a conversation. Do our stars align? Do our thoughts align? Because for me, bro, if I'm not interested in something, it will be so obvious. We'll just be deceiving ourselves. So I'm always like, listen, let's sit down. Does this align? Because there's so many brands. Okay, look at Pepsi, for example, yeah? I feel like every competing brand for Pepsi has approached us. And we have conversations, and I'm like, you don't get it. There's no point. So it's the same thing with artists we book for the shows. Look at how we were talking earlier on about the certain artists we work with or labels we work with. Because, for example, look at the Living Guys, for example. We do so much stuff with them directly and indirectly. Like, it would be stupid of us not to have a certain relationship and other labels. So it's kind of thing where you just have to be ready for when you get the opportunity. Like, for example, now we go into the corner now, we start talking, and I'm like, yo, this girl's talking trash. We probably will never talk again. That's me personally. He's patient. But it's always about when you get the opportunity, just be ready. And you never know when these opportunities come. So just always bring your A game. Once you bring your A game, you will be good, for sure.
Okay, I know they're telling us time is up, but I just wanted to add this for 30 seconds to buttress everything that has been said today. 90% of the opportunities that I have been privileged to have are because I picked up the phone or walked up to somebody and asked them, not because somebody called on my behalf. So this self-entitlement, we get it a lot in the entertainment industry because people are so focused on just blowing. Everybody you see that has been successful has done actual groundwork. They do the work. Because the thing is, even if they give you an opportunity, you're not going to stick around if you're not doing the work. Yep. And what he also said about bringing value. When you go and meet people, this collaboration, like he said, self-interest, are we aligning? Don't go empty-handed. Always go and look for people and say, this is what I can do. This is what I have done by myself so far. How can I help you get where you're going? And in that process, I'm also helping my own trajectory along. So like I keep saying, it takes all of us. All of us.
Can I say one? Yeah. Just one. I mean, so these people are entertainment people, co-entertainment people. I'm a brands person. And I think that more brands can do more with these platforms. More brands can do more with music, especially if the brand strategy is around music. You can't touch and go. Not every brand can have a Davido as a brand ambassador. I'm sure Issa knows how much that costs. But how about you set the platform for the next Davido, right? If you find the next Davido, find him where he is and put him on the platform, and he becomes your brand ambassador.
She's actually being honest because, bro, we've worked with Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi was our second endorsement deal ever. We worked with Pepsi like 10 years now. And it's the same for, I think it's David, Wiz, and Tiwa. Since we broke out, we've worked with them. They've been with us on BlockParty since the beginning. Pepsi basically sponsor almost everything. I mean, they can do better, but they try.
Guys,
we are grateful.
Just us out now. Anyway, thank you very much. Please give a round of applause. Sasha P, Sika, Abigail, and Toby. Thank you. Aṣọ pọ̀ tó yìí, aṣọ lè fi